Okay, this is Shishi. Welcome back. This is the first video in the series on how to transition from being, in a 9 to 5 employee to doing something that you love and make money. So today I thought I'll just first share my story to give you an idea kind of how I have changed from who I was and what I did about 10 years ago. I can't believe it's been 10 years, honestly. It just seems like yesterday that I got fired from my first job. Really, it was a blessing in disguise. And I knew I wanted to leave. It was one of those things like I knew I wanted to leave. I didn't know exactly how I was going to leave, when I was going to leave, or what I was going to do for money. And then, it was like 2008, 2009, the economy downturn. So I got let go. And it was really good. Like, they gave me a very generous severance package. So I took that. I went on vacation. I was only like 24 at the time, I think. A friend of mine, and I was a competitive ballroom dancer. I started that when I was at Northwestern University, and I continued to dance and compete while I was working as well. So actually, my own teacher said, hey, why don't you become a teacher, because you're plenty good enough now, and you can do that, And so I thought about it. I was like, okay. And then, like, literally, as I got let go from the job, a friend of a friend had reached out to me, like, hey, we're getting married. Can you teach us how to dance? So they were my first clients. It just came, I took that as a sign that everything was starting to align in that way. And I did that. So then all of a sudden I didn't have the job, and then my rent tripled because I signed up for this really expensive lease in downtown Chicago. And so basically I started teaching. And the way I had transitioned was I worked in IT before, so I was very comfortable working, like, using online. And 10 years ago it was a lot easier to, like, get ranked high, like, with SEO. So I just figured it out, through trial and error. And so my website was like number 1 or 2, like, if you search wedding dance in Chicago. I don't think it is now because I don't have it anymore. So clients just started coming in. I had really good reviews, on Yelp. So I only had 5 stars, so people, trusted my reputation. And I had a niche. I was the only person in Chicago who focused on engaged couples. So I found a niche sort of just by accident, almost. And I was very lucky, and I worked very hard for the first 2 years. Made a lot of mistakes. I didn't know what to do, really. It was my first business. But I made it work. I had this dream of wanting to work for myself, working from home, living in a really nice apartment downtown Chicago, right next to a train station. It was like everything that I wanted, and I created that for myself. So after that, after 2 years, my relationship at the time ended, and then I felt like I wanted to change. So I began to study spiritual psychology to learn more about myself. This was at the University of Santa Monica. So I would fly from Chicago to LA every month to go to school. And eventually, after 5 months, when the winter came, I was like, okay, I'm not going to come back to Chicago. So I moved. I picked up my stuff. And then it was like, okay, so then how do I manage the business? Because now I all of a sudden didn't have a source of income. And just so you know, I'm not much of like a planner. I usually did things by inspiration, and they worked out. I had a friend who was also a dancer. She was really good. And so I said, hey, how about you work for me, and I'll just pay you. And so, like, whatever I made at profit, I gave her half of it, And that she was my basically first sort of like employee. I mean, she wasn't employed by me, but she was a contractor. From then I started managing that business from LA. I mean, the studio was still in Chicago. The business was still there. And of course, little by little, I started working in LA, so I built up kind of my clients there. then while I was running the business, and I had set it up, like a friend of mine also helped me automate that business, so I didn't really have to answer emails. I had a sequence of things that I knew I needed to do, and I automated that. Thank God for my friends. I mean, I swear. If I didn't have my friends, I wouldn't know where I would be today. So then I finished, I graduated, I started traveling. That was when like my travel bug started. Like I always loved going to places before. So after graduating from my master's program, I went to Italy for 6 weeks. I studied Italian and painting there. Ciao, buongiorno. It's been a while since I learned Italian. So that was sort of like my next dream. Okay, I went from being corporate to being a freelancer, business owner, to then managing the business from abroad. I wanted to change. Again, I always like sort of chased after a different lifestyle, and it kind of went back and forth. And I started tutoring as well in grad school. So I was tutoring, I was teaching piano, and so I kind of did back and forth. Like I would go travel for a while. I'll come home. I would work. I would travel, and I would come home and I would work. And eventually, I just was like, okay, I really want to just be abroad. I felt very pressured to work especially in LA. Competing, and it's not really me. I don't really enjoy competing with other people, and it was like I had like this vision of what I wanted, which was I want to be able to work while I was abroad. So I had convinced some students that I could teach them over FaceTime or Skype. Like like you're watching the video now. That's exactly how I would teach them. So I did that with like the first two students, and I had more students, and that's how I have been able to like travel and not have to like teach English necessarily, And first of all, they don't make that much money teaching English. I mean, you can, but you sort of need to go through a whole bunch of hoops. Like you'll live an okay life teaching English, but I didn't want to do that. Like I want to teach what I wanted to teach, So eventually, I am now here. I'm in Bangkok, Thailand. I started developing my other interests, spiritual interest. Like I always wanted to align my career ultimately to my spiritual growth, and because it is actually the most important thing to me in my life. Maybe other things are important to your life, and you just want to make sure that you can align your career, your calling, to what your heart's desires are. And I think, and I'm not saying it's like an easy journey, but I think you'll find that it's easier to get yourself to work. That you wouldn't have to force it, Yeah, I'm coaching people. I'm doing the readings that I just love. I just love what I'm doing. It's like I finally feel like I have energy. Like I used to be really tired, and like when I first got here, like I was sick all the time, and either I was having a fever for a whole month, or I'd have like diarrhea for a whole month. Sorry, like I'm not even joking. And I think because my mind was like not in the right place, like I wasn't really happy. And then slowly but surely, like I made like those two lines kind of go together. The line where what my heart wants to go, and like what like the practical day-to-day things I want to be doing. So that's kind of my personal journey. Sorry if it's a long story. And I hope that gives you some idea of what you can do to shift. Like just start. I would say the first step for you is to put your thoughts in that direction. Meaning, like, set the intention. Just tell yourself first before you even announce it to the world. Like, you don't need to tell anybody. Just tell yourself, like, this is what I really want. I'm in this job now I don't really like. I feel like I'm just, getting by. I'm okay. I'm surviving. But I really want to thrive. Just tell yourself, I want to thrive. I want to be doing something that I love. I may not even know what I want to be doing right now. And I think it's okay. Like you don't need to know exactly uh, what you're here to do. Like, just don't pressure yourself. So I would encourage you to start thinking in that direction and not force yourself. You know, like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Just like leave yourself alone, but like put your mind there first. You know, and it takes time, right? So I would say that should be your first step. And believe me, if you can change up here, the stuff on the outside will be really easy. Like, you would just naturally take the actions instead of trying to force yourself to take the actions. I just don't believe in doing that anymore because, believe me, you will get burned out doing that. And especially if you're a woman, and it's like, you know, we're girls, we're ladies. I mean, we like to be pretty, put on makeup, and go have fun. You know, I think it's our nature. I'm not saying everybody, but you know, I think a lot of women that I know are like that, and um, try to be in the flow with your own femininity as well. And if you're a guy, I always say the same thing, like, balance your energy. You know, don't be overly aggressive and don't be overly soft, right? Like, just come back in the middle. Like, sometimes the pendulum swing like this, and you just want it to like slow down so that it comes right back here in the center. So I hope it is helpful for you. And sorry, this message is too long. You can turn it off and do something else anytime. Alrighty, I will share the next message like as it comes to me. You know, sometimes I don't really plan, so whatever lesson that I feel would be beneficial for you, I will share with you, okay, as I go. Alrighty, see you next time.